when I did this movie, I was broke anyway, which is ironic. And I had to do this movie regardless whether it be good or bad. And fortunately, it was very good, and I was lucky. So I think I came into the movie pretty scared anyway, because I was in a really bad place financially, and I'd been experiencing a lot of fear with being broke, because I have an ex-wife, I have 4 kids, and I have houses and stuff, and mortgages to pay, and I didn't have any money, and I was attached to a big movie that fell through weeks before this one started shooting, and I was just like, fuck, I'm fucked. And then yeah, it came through, and so I came in with that kind of energy anyway, so I think that certainly got me to places pretty quickly. I'm very ignorant. I was very ignorant with all that stuff, because I don't watch news outlets. I don't read a whole lot of current affairs and stuff like that. I don't know why. I just don't. And but my business manager was telling me, that stuff had happened on Wall Street, and I was semi-aware of what was going on, obviously. And since then, I've obviously watched documentaries. But I was affected by it in that I bought 2 condominiums for a reasonable sum of money at the height of the market, and then I bought them in 2008, and then the crash happened, and my condominium ceased having any value whatsoever. So some prick on Wall Street knew that the crash was happening, and he didn't call me to warn me and say, listen, don't buy your condominiums, because the ass is about to fall out of the economy. So that prick on Wall Street, so I hold it against that prick on Wall Street, yeah, definitely. Oh, well, yeah, absolutely can happen. We see it happening in society today, in what all these horrific shootings. I don't agree with it, but it's a reality of our society, definitely. The most difficult scene was the church scene. I had to cry, man. You know, it's always difficult crying on screen, because sometimes you can do it and sometimes you can't, and when you can't do it, you look like an idiot, and you're just faking all these dry tears, and then sometimes you do land in an emotional spot, and then all of a sudden the tears, everything just starts breaking down, and you start crying, and then you start thinking these terrible things, and you know, and you know, and I happened on this particular day to think some heavy, dark thoughts, and I was there, and it worked, but it's after it, you just feel like a fucking whore, because you just feel like you've just opened your legs to society, and it always makes me feel dirty after I've done it, because somehow I'm using experiences in my own life to get emotional, and you feel like you're somehow cheapening memories, and you're taking advantage of people you love somehow. He's a regular guy that snapped. There's nothing psychopathic about him at all, any shape or form. He is just he's a figment of someone's imagination, that actually goes ahead and does something. I mean, there are people out there who want to shoot people. We all, God, I'd like to kill that bastard, or do something. And he's that guy that just fucking snaps and says, fuck it, I'm gonna take care of these motherfuckers. He's just that guy who does it. And he does. in his own thinking, he has justification for what he did. I mean, he shot these people because, you know, he sees them as scum, as serpents, who have just taken advantage of vultures, who have taken advantage of, you know, innocent people, and he's just like, fuck you, you're not getting away with it. Uwe is awesome. I'd never heard of Uwe before I did the movie. I'd never, if I had heard of him before, I probably wouldn't have done the movie. Well, I would have done the movie because I was broke, so I would have had to, but I just would have been in one of those situations like, oh fuck. He's really smart. He's really. I mean, he's a doctor of literature and shit, and you know, he's one of these guys that is so intelligent. Like I call him a mad hidden genius. He's just one of these characters that, you know, and we're very similar, which is scary, you know, because sometimes I look at him and go, "Fuck, you just sound like me," and I'm like, am I that bad? No, I'm not. I'm not like him. I'm not as bad as him. But he's good in the sense that he trusts his actors. I mean, he will literally. He'll have his laptop and the soccer will be streaming on his laptop, and he'll be like, "Okay, action," and he'll watch the soccer match, and then he'll look up and then the producer will tap him on the shoulder and say, "Hey, cut," and then this is an example of it. But he's just one of those guys that, yeah, he's good. I've done two great movies. I've done a movie called The Frozen with Sturla Gunnarson. I've just shot that in Sudbury, Canada. It's a father-son. It's a genetic engineer. My father was a genetically engineered soldier who raped my mother, who was a scientist in the 60s or the 70s. I'm half engineered. I grow up and I want to track my father down, who happens to have fallen in a crevice in some snow land in the tundra somewhere, and then it's all about me tracking my father. It's a father-son kind of thing, and you know, I bring my father back to life, and he escapes, and it's like, and then it becomes Mad Max, and it's a father-son thing, and it's very deep, quirky, Mad Max, action-y kind of film. It's beautifully shot. Sturla is he won an Academy Award, or nominated for an Academy Award for a documentary he did a couple of years back. You know, another great director. You know, I seem to be lucky working with these great directors, and that's for Sony. Sony Studio. I'm doing another one for Sony, a thing called A Fighting Man, boxing movie that Damien Lee did. I'm doing that now. You know, I've got a good home at Sony, the crew at Sony, kind of taking me under the wing a bit and doing some movies for them, and you know, I've got some good stuff coming down the line.